שיעור בגמרא במציע פרק השוכר הסעומנים דף ע"ז עמוד בייס. The Gemara, we are going to start from the middle of the page. Line begins with the word kama shonim from Omar. A few introduction. First of all, the Gemara is going to go and explain the brayse regarding the moicher and the lokeach backing out from the field. When the lokeach only had 200 zuz to pay from 1,000 zuz, and one of them backed out. So the Gemara says if the moicher backs out, the lokeach gets back his money from the best field of the moicher, and when the lokeach backs out, the lokeach gets back his money from the worst field of the moicher. Now the Gemara is going to discuss it. Few introduction. There are three types. Number one, there are three types of field. Idis, which is the best, Beinonis, which is the middle one, and Ziburis, which is the worst. Second introduction. When somebody gives damages, when somebody gives that damage to a friend, he made damage to his property or to his stuff, and he doesn't have money to pay, the Torah tells us that he can collect the amount of money from the best field of the mazik. Mazik is the one that makes the damage, Nizek is the one that receives the damage. Aridome number 3. A malve and a loive is also called a bal choiv. A malve is also called a bal choiv. Either he owns the loan or he owes the loan. Either one, it's a bal choiv. Now, if the loive doesn't have money to pay for the loan that he owes, so mina Torah, we take from his field, but which field do we take? We take from the worst. Chachamim saw a problem with that issue because the lenders, the malve, will not want to lend. They call it ne'ilas delas bifnei loivim. They're going to close the door in front of the face of the loivim when he comes to borrow money. So therefore, they upgrade that the malve can collect from the Beinonis field. Therefore, it will be better for the business deal. The malve will agree to lend them money. Now let's go read the Gemara inside. Omar. We learned before in the Bryce. We don't translate the words of Mamar. We only say we learned before in the Bryce. From where does he collect his 200 zuz? Minayidis. From the best field. That means when the moicher backs out, the lokeach collects his money from the best field. Kosal Gadaitach, the yeshiva bochim thought that from which better field that he collects, Meidis from the best of his best field, which means let's say Reuven wanted to buy a certain field, and now the Shim and the Moicher backed out. So Reuven collects from the best from his other field, totally from another field, not even from the field that he wanted to buy, rather from the best of the best. Rashi, made is the Nechosim, Sog the Elek Rashi, the Shah Nechosim, from his other properties. She'im yesh lo karka yofim mizu, that if the Moicher has a field better from the one that he wanted to buy, he takes in that field value worth of 200 zuz. Back to the Gemara. The Gemara is going to ask two questions. Now we know that now the Moicher, when he backed out, he became a bal choiv. He owes money to the loikeach, so he became a bal choiv. Frag the Eleki Gemara, velo yeh bal choiv, and even if you're only going to treat him, meaning even if you're going to treat him better, you're going to treat him like Bal Choy. That Chachamim changed his collection place to Beinonis. Vietnam, we learn in a Mishnah, Bal Choy didn't pay Beinonis, Bal Choy, when he doesn't have money to pay. So we can collect from his middle field. So therefore, why here the Lokeach gets to collect from the best of the best? Another question. One more question. We have the field that Andeti gave the money. Why is he collecting from a totally different field instead of collecting from the field that he gave that money? Rashi, don't even treat this buyer lightly. Even if you treat him better, like a balchoy, that we are worried, we are afraid that if we're not going to upgrade to the better field, we're going to lock the door in front of the faces of the lenders, of the lenders, yes, no, of the borrowers. Thank you. Even him, the balchoiv, the loive, his power is not so strong to take from Idis. So therefore, why this lokech is collecting from Idis? Now we have a Tosfos over here that we're going to talk about later, because it's going to fit better with the teretz of the Gemara to understand the Tosfos. And for the Eileke Gemara, Tutirutzi. Omar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, you're right. Me'idis shebo u'miziburis shebo. You're right. He's not going to collect from the best of the field that the best of the field that the moicher has. He's going to collect when the Brisa says that he collects from the best, it means from the best of the field that he wanted to buy, the best part of that. And when it says that when he gets to collect from the worst, he gets to collect from the worst of the field that he wanted to buy. Now, how does it answer both questions? We had a question and only answered the question that why is he collecting from a different field, but it still did not answer why is he not getting from Beinani. So let's look in Tosfos. Me'idi shebo miziburi shebo. Frag the Eileke Tosfos ve'o the lo yishokel mi Beinani shebo. Why is he not taking from the medium part, from the middle part of the field? And for the Eileke Tosfos, mishum the konsos achoyze boy. Because when you back out, we give you a little bit of a punishment. If you're saying that the answer that he's not getting from, he's getting from if you're saying that the answer is that he's getting from the Yiddish, because of a punishment, so therefore why don't you answer? Just say it's a punishment. So like Atchila, instead of saying that he gets from the field that he wants to buy, say he gets from the best of the best because it was a punishment. And for the Elkito says, Aval meikore porich. In the beginning, the Gemara asked why should he get from the best? Why? Sheina konsoi kol kach. We should not give him such a big punishment. And to let him collect from the best from the other field. Next, back to the Gemara. Another teretz. Rav Acha Barei de Ravi Omar, he totally disagrees on Rav Nachman. Afilu teime beidis denachosiv. You can even say that he's collecting from the best of the best. Why is he collecting from the best of the best? So now, till now, we thought that he's a Baal Choiv. And if he's a Baal Choiv, he gets to collect from Beinanis. Rav Acha says, no, he's not a Baal Choiv. Why? So he's saying he's going to say like this, and then we're going to read it from inside. What happened was, in order for the Lokeach to generate so much money, like 1,000 zuz, which is a lot of money, and as we see, he was only able to collect 200 after all these efforts, he had to sell all his little stuff and his little properties. And when you need the desperate to get money, you will sell it for cheaper. Now when this moicher backed out and changed his mind, the lokeach cannot go back and get all the stuff that he sold for cheap. So therefore, it's like the moicher made him a damage. It's like. And therefore, and we learned that when somebody makes a damage, you get to collect from the best of the best. So because, you're right, he's not going to be paid for the damages for the loss that he lost, for all the properties that he lost cheaper, but at least he'll get something that he gets, the 200 zuz he gets from the best field. Let's read it from inside. You can even say that he collects from the best of the best. Why? Stam, usually, man de zovin hara be'alfa zuzi. A guy who buys, the word zovin can mean buy, or can mean sell. Here it's buy. Man de zovin hara be'alfa zuzi. A person that buys a field for 1,000 zuz, which is very expensive, in order for him to get money, what does he have to do? He has to make his other properties, his smaller properties, he has to sell it, but he has to sell it for cheap, and that's how he gets money. And now that he only was able to generate 200 zuz, and the moicha backed out, he's like a nizak. Okay, he's like the guy made him a damage. But now we learn in the Mishnah, when you get damages, we value the damage to pay from the best of the best. Rashi. Stam man de zovinaro lechavri be'alfa zuzu yizilum moizvi. So the Elike Rashi. Stam usual. Ish akoyne karka gedoylo be'yakora kazu. A person that buys such a big field, such an expensive field, en kol kach mois metzuyas loy. Money is not available for him so much. Elohim came unless mochar metaltilim v'sodes ktanis. Unless he sold movable items and little fields. And he has to sell us for cheap. And when the moicher backs out, Nimtzo comes out, then nizak aliyot that this begets a damage through him. Vitnan alizokim shana meidis, which means, like daily karashi, ligvois meidis lechosav shel mazik, to collect from the best fields of the mazik. Edichsiv, meitav sodei yeshalem, from the best of the field he has to pay, as we see. Now we're going to see toises ve'avelei mazik. Shmaya, we're only going to do this 2 toises and then we're going to finish the shiur, okay? First, we're going to see the toises ve'avelei mazik. Ve'avelei mazik zog deile ketoises lav davke mazik. You see, it's very interesting. And the Gemara says clearly avelei kenizuk. It's ken. Toises is changed as a different girsa and it says ve'avelei mazik. So now Toises has to explain. It says the Eilike Toises lav davke mazik. We not necessarily means he did damage. Why? Sharei ein shamin kefi hanezek sheizikoi. Because we do not evaluate as much as the damage that the moicher caused them for losing all this money for selling his stuff for cheap. Sharei ein meshalem ela kefi hamoishe kibel. He only pays them according to the amount of money, the 200 zuz that he got. Elo ktsas dimu lamazik. We only compare them a little bit to a mazik. Little chayva min is to take what he owes them from the best. Now we have one more toises. We're going to go back to the second toises on the page. Lo hi elo bal chayv. In the Braise, a little introduction. In the Braise, we had 2 cases. One case that the moicher changed his mind, and the lekach gets his money from the best field. And one time when the lekach changes his mind and the lekach collects his money from the worst. So now, zog deileke Toises lo yeh bal choiv. So Toises says a hidden question. Why is the Gemara not asking in the case of Ziburis? Why does he get from Ziburis? Bal choiv is from Beinonis, let him get from the middle. Zog deileke Toises aval mi Ziburis lo yikoshelei. From the case of Ziburis, it's not a question. Why? Because even if he's going to be like a bal choiv, we appointed it. We established it in a case that we're going. In this case, we're going to follow according to the Torah's halacha. The Torah halacha says that we collect from ziburis, from the worst field. Why? Why over here is different? So it says, why did Chachamim change from ziburis to beinonis? Because of neilas delas. So over here we don't have to worry about closing the doors. Why? Because it's a business deal. By a business deal, buying and selling, people are still always going to buy. By lending money, some people, if they're not going to get the proper field, they're going to stop lending. So Toises says a question backwards. So if you didn't have a question from Ziburis, why did the Gemara, when the Gemara answer, the Gemara says, Me'idish sheba, Miziburis sheba. Why saying those words? Those 2 extra words, Miziburi Sheba, is extra. You should have not said it. You should only said Me'idish Sheba, not Miziburi Sheba. So Toises clarifies. V'chimeshani Miziburi Sheba. When the Gemara answers the words Miziburi Sheba, Dr. Lo Yatzarich. The Gemara did not have to say it. Why? The Miziburis Rave Koshelei Midi, because from the case of Ziburis it was not a question. Kedeprishis, as we explained. Rather, he wants to tell you, if I'm already giving you the information, I'm giving you the full information. Even though I did not have a question, but I'm still going to give you the full information. What's the information? You should not think that he gets from the worst of the worst. Rather, he gets from the ziburis of the field that he wanted to buy. Now, Toises wants to tell me another answer. Usually, the halacha is, when the borrower has money cash to pay, we don't go to the fields to collect. He pays cash. So let's say if the moicher over here has cash to pay, why do we go to the field? Why the first thing is we go to the field, not to the cash? So in order to avoid that question, the Gemara says Miziburis Sheba. Let's see how it works. Inami, another answer, why the Gemara says the word Miziburis Sheba. In order we should not have a question. To somebody who owns money, we don't pay off with a field. When? When the loive has money. So why over here we do go to a field and we don't take the cash? When the Gemara answers with the word miziburi sheba, asi shapir. Now it's understood. We don't pay from cash because it's not really a malve and a loive. It's just we're comparing it to a malve and a loive. Over here, it's really a sale. He bought a field and the guy backed out. Because the sale was fulfilled, correspond to them. He gave 200 zuz. So he bought a field worth 200 zuz. It's not really he borrowed money, 200 zuz, that we don't have to pay him back. Thank you very much for listening to the show.